Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to week 10 of our art class. It's really nice to see you again. And we were talking about sculpture. And we were discussing an artist whose name is Alberto Giacometti. You say Alberto Giacometti. Excellent. And he was a sculptor who was a modern artist. He followed along the surrealists, or those artists who used their imagination in a fantasy-like way. So if you think of realism as being real or realistic, then you think of surrealism as being the opposite of real. And the opposite of real is like a dream or fantasy-like. Okay, so we can think of it that way, and that makes it a little easier to understand. But what we were doing was we were trying to make realize the difference between a two-dimensional flat surface as opposed to a three-dimensional form, which is not flat. So let me just show you with this little piece of foil here. Okay, so if we have this piece of aluminum foil, we can see that this is a flat, a flat two-dimensional surface. It is a rectangle in shape, right? And we can only measure the length and the width. It has no depth. It's not deep. We can't put our hand inside and have it carry something, right? So we are taking this now, we're not trying to make the illusion, we're not trying to trick people into thinking that this flat surface curves around and looks like a cylinder, like a vase, or that it curves around and by using different values, it makes it look like the orange is really curving around and looks 3D. We're not doing that. We're actually physically changing and transforming this flat two-dimensional surface, right, or shape, this shape, into a 3D form, right? And just to review, we could either manipulate, that means change this paper, right? With our hands, we're manipulating. We are holding it and molding it and changing it. I can roll it, and then it becomes what? No, not a paper towel roll, even though it really is. A cylinder. You say cylinder. Excellent. Okay. A cylinder, which is a 3D form. You say 3D form. Excellent. So this is not flat, right? It curves around. It has length and width and depth, right? I can put my hand in here. Okay, so this is also another example of a what? Can't hear you, boys and girls. Good, a 3D form. Is it flat? No, not flat. It curves around. I can grab it in my hand. It has length and width and what else? Right, depth. Okay, so now we take this and we manipulate this flat two-dimensional shape of a rectangle, and we can curl it, we can scrunch it. What happens if I scrunch it up? I'm now transforming it into a what? A what? Yes, a ball or a sphere. You say sphere. Very good, sphere. I'm proud of you, boys and girls. This is tough stuff to remember, but we're gonna work on it. So here is a sphere or a ball, and it is not flat any longer, right? It curves around. So I just wanna say that the sculptures that I got were fabulous. I am so proud of you and so impressed, and I know that we were talking about creating a figure last week, right? So This guy I made, this figure looks like he might be walking or running. I included a base with either a shell or a rock, or some of you guys used cups and erasers and blocks, and it was very, very creative. I'm super proud of you. I had you guys send me ballerinas, and some of you actually already made your animals, okay? Because Alberto Giacometti had made a dog over here, and he also made a cat over here. And so what I want you to do for this week, boys and girls, is I want you to create one more sculpture. I know some of you did like 5 of them. Some of you have like a whole village of people and animals at the park, and I'm so impressed and proud of you. You really, really were creative and let your imagination run, and you got lost in that little world for a little time, and that's great. You need that little escape. And I'm happy to see that your work reflects the fact that you are finding a nice quiet space. You're not quitting. You told me that this was hard to do, this was easy about it, and you didn't quit. So I'm really happy that you remembered mindset matters, okay? And being respectful in our home classrooms, okay? So what I want you to do for this week is to create one more piece. But you can do whatever you like. I had you send me dinosaurs. I had you send me robots. You guys are super duper artists, and I'm really proud of you. But I just wanted to show you, in case you don't know, maybe 2 things that you could do, or 3. I mean, you could do whatever, but I just wanted to give you a few examples. I'm gonna take this piece of foil, and all I need is some tin foil or aluminum foil. Some of you didn't have aluminum foil, and that's okay, because you tried it with the paper. And some of you were successful and some of you weren't so successful, but you didn't quit and you tried it and you sent it in, and it still counts. And it's still an experience, boys and girls, right? And that is what being an artist is all about. It's about trying things that you don't know if they're gonna work, but sometimes they work out even better than we imagined. But if we don't try, we never know that we can succeed, right? And if we fail and we make mistakes and we're not successful, it's okay. We try to find another solution. Where is that? Somewhere here. I made a mistake. Mistakes help me learn, right? So we find another way. Let me try another way. We don't give up. We try another way, right? Okay, so I just wanted to show you one way to make a dog or a cat or whatever. If you take this sheet of aluminum foil or paper or whatever it is that you have available to you and make one cut here, like that, and then flip the paper around, make another cut the same way, and if you don't have a scissor, you can just tear the paper with your hands. So now we have like 4 parts. And yes, those are gonna become the legs. So let's scrunch it up the same way that we did the legs for our figure of a person, and make the legs of our animal. Now this animal should be freestanding with no base, because why? Does it have 2 legs? 3 legs? Oh, 4 legs, right? So that should be balanced enough to be able to stand on its own. Now I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it around, and I have 2 more, right? So I'm going to take that, I can curl it around, or I can just squish it. I hope that some of you guys found it fun, and I know that you actually did because you told me so. And it is very different to manipulate something and sculpt it with our hands as opposed to simply drawing, right? It's like a different mindset. It allows you to explore this material, or the Play-Doh or the clay or whatever you have available at home, in a different way. So it allows us to be creative in new ways. So now I have this. It looks like a big letter H, kind of, right? And I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to curl this around, and I'm going to point these legs downward. So now I have like the body and 4 legs. Or it looks kind of like a spider. Right? Okay, you guys see that? Okay, so now I can just take extra parts. Well, let's see. Maybe I want to make the paws. So I'm going to fold them down. Let me put you where you can see here. Can you see that? Okay. So I'm going to put the bend little paws forward. And bend these paws, or make the paws, put them forward. So we've made the body and the legs with just one piece of foil, right? Now we can take another piece of foil, and you don't have to work in such large sheets. You can piece it together in smaller pieces that you can manipulate easier. Okay. Now I'm gonna take this and I'm going to actually tear it in half. And by the way, boys and girls, you don't have to make the sculptures this tall. I had some of you guys make me send me photos of your work, and it was one teeny tiny one and like a big giant figure, right? You can make a whole little village of little tiny figures, right? So it doesn't have to be so overwhelming or take up a lot of aluminum foil. You can make little tiny ones, and that's sometimes easier to manipulate, right? Everyone's different, so you choose what size or scale. You say scale. Good. Scale in art means size, not like scales on a fish. So you choose whatever scale you feel is comfortable for you to work with. So now I'm going to take this piece that's a little bit more narrow, and I'm going to put this part, scrunch this up like this for a head, and then wrap this around the body. Does that make sense? Let me do that again. I scrunched up the top part here, and then I took this part that's open and I simply wrap it around. Wrap it around the body of my animal. Now, I have put them together and I have a neck for my animal. I space this out. I make sure that the legs are still able to stand freely. And then, if I wanted it to be a dinosaur, I could leave it like this. If I want it to be a dog, I can bend this piece down here for the snout. Now it looks more like a dog or a pony or something like that, right? And then you take little pieces of the foil and you can add a tail, you can add ears, you can do whatever you like, right? Okay, so that's the pet. Now, I also wanted to show you that with some simple household materials, you could use a plastic or paper cup, and you could make a person to go with this figure, right? So I could make, take another piece of foil, and please again make sure that you ask a grown-up in your house to give you the foil, okay? Don't try to get the foil on your own because it has this really, really sharp part, and you don't want to hurt yourselves. So I can take this and I can wrap it around my base like this. I can curl this around my base like this. And now I can use the form of the cup or the cylinder to become part of my sculpture. So maybe this is going to be a lady or a girl with a very fancy long dress or a gown, right? Or maybe I want it to be a trophy to give somebody as a present for being a great brother or sister, right? I don't know. Whatever it is that you want it to be. It could be a spaceship, a rocket, I don't know. But I'm gonna cut this piece off, or rip it. So now I have something that could be a head, something that could be a dress. I have an excess piece here that I can tear. And boys and girls, do you have to do what I'm doing? No. I'm glad that you know that by now. I am just giving you examples of things that you might not have thought of to do, and you're gonna come up with ideas that I never thought of to do, and you already have, and I'm super proud of you because you're allowing yourself to be creative, to be the creative artist that you are. Now I can take this, I can wrap it around here, and now I have something that looks like hands or arms and a head. And remember, it doesn't have to look realistic because Alberto Giacometti didn't have his figures look realistic, right? They looked really tall and skinny, and I want you to say elongated. Excellent, elongated, to be made longer. It's like he took a person and stretched it out real tall and skinny, right? So that is what I wanted to show you. Oh, and one last thing. If you like, you can use any materials that you can recycle. Cans, cups, paper towels, boxes, tissue boxes, whatever. But I did want to show you that if you just take the tin foil and you make everything on a smaller scale, you can make wonderful things. Let's see, really skinny, make it like this, like a capital letter A, right? Hold on. And so, boys and girls, that was my time-lapse video of creating a swing set, right? A swing set with a figure on a swing that is movable, right? So all I have to do is imagine something and then try to figure out how to get it to work. So it's like two capital letter A's, right? One on this side, one on this side. And then you connect it in between with another straight piece of foil and wrap it around the top of this A, wrap it around the top of this A, right? Try to get it to balance securely and stand on all four posts, right? All the four corners. And then the swing is just one very thin piece of foil that I manipulated and scrunched up. And then the tops are like the tops of candy canes. Yes, you see them? Then I hook the candy canes on top and I make a really teeny tiny figure and sit it right there inside. And now it's a movable piece, boys and girls, and it is a sculpture. And I'm super proud of you, and I appreciate you joining me for week 10 of our art class. And remember, you are the artists. Anything you can imagine, you can create, okay? Allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to make many and make mistakes. I'm looking down because I made this one. I wasn't really happy with this one. It wasn't sturdy enough. I made this one, I made the figure, and it was way too large. It was too big for the scale or the size of the swing set. So look how many times it took, right? It took me 3 times to get it perfectly how I wanted it to be, right? And so I don't want you to quit. I want you to stay positive, and remember, the purpose of the lesson is to create a 3-dimensional sculpture, okay? So keep going. I can't wait to see your artwork. Thanks a lot, boys and girls. See you next time. Bye-bye.